Om Shri Sai Ram. Hearty welcome to Sri Sathya Sai Lok Seva Gurukulam online classes. I hope all of you are fresh with breakfast or lunch and ready to accept these topics. We have already seen some of the interesting things under the chapter on sources of energy. Now all of you become more energetic, right? Today we will have some more energy. The first one we have seen that definition of energy. The capacity to do work is called as energy. It is measured in terms of joules. The same unit that we use for work, we use for energy also. And there are different kinds of energy like mechanical energy, which has two branches, kinetic energy and potential energy. You have solar energy, light energy, sound energy, atomic or nuclear energy, is not, and so on. And also we have seen about fossil fuels under the heading called non-renewable, means which are depleting, which get exhausted. And it is told that the fossil fuels, namely you have coal, petroleum, the liquid form of the fuel which is obtained in the bowels of the earth, and also you have a natural gas. These are the three forms of fossil fuels. And as the demand for this is very high, the supply is limited. So all the sources of these fossil fuels are coming to a grand halt in about 25-30 years. So after 25 years, you must think of some other alternative source of energy. That is one of the disadvantages of this. There are so many advantages coming to coal. It is a very good in the production of electricity. It is a very good fuel also. Petroleum, as all of you know, the petrol, the diesel and all are very essential for transports like buses, cars, trucks and so on, even trains also. Natural gas is also a very good fuel. And in cities like Delhi, they use what is called as CNG, compressed natural gas, where the pollution is very high. This compressed natural gas will replace, or it will solve the problems of pollution. And also we have seen in the previous class about nuclear energy, the energy that is stored in the nucleus of an atom, namely nucleon between proton and neutron. What you call it as binding energy. When this binding energy is bombarded by a neutron of suitable velocity, enormous amount of energy is released. There are two types of nuclear energy. One is called nuclear fission, wherein heavy nucleus like uranium, thorium, polonium, plutonium, etc. breaks up into fragments, evolving enormous amount of energy, and that is called as fission reaction. Also, light elements like hydrogen, when hydrogen is fused, it gets converted into helium. So, this requires lot of energy for fusion. In the process, it releases lot of energy also. Anyway, nuclear energy is one of the most important source of energy, and it is a key of the nation which replaces most of the energy demands. And we have seen in the previous class the advantages of nuclear energy, namely a peaceful purpose. When you say advantages, we are referring to peaceful purpose. That is production of electricity. We will call it as nuclear power plant. And we have the first power plant in Trombay, near Bombay, Mumbai. And even Karnataka also, we have a very famous place called Kaiga. A nuclear power plant is established. And here the nuclear energy is converted into electric energy. And as we have advantages, there are so many dangers also. During fission process, especially when the nuclear waste, the disposition of this nuclear waste is a very tedious job, because there will be what are called as radiations, like alpha radiation, beta radiation, gamma radiations. These radiations are very dangerous to human beings, animals, birds, plants, and so on. And these radiations will cause lot of misery. And also you heard about the two kinds of bombs that are got out of nuclear fission, that is called as nuclear bomb or atomic bomb. Where it was exploded? Yes, in Japan in the year 1945, during the Second World War. And the two cities like Hiroshima and Nagasaki, there was the worst disaster. Very shocking. Millions of people were killed by the explosion of the nuclear bomb. And also now they have discovered by the fusion hydrogen bomb also, which is also more dangerous than atom bomb. Of course, no country, even though they are prepared, is dare enough to apply it or test it, because it is said that if 3 hydrogen bombs are sufficient to smash or to extinguish the whole world. So all the countries of the world are very much scared about it. So they are some of the hazards of the nuclear waste. And let us see some of the questions as given as home assignment. I think all of you have prepared answers for this. The first question: nuclear energy is considered to be a very powerful alternative source of fossil fuels. Why it is not being used on a much larger scale? Answer is, it's difficult to set up nuclear power plants because lot of thinking is needed, very remote place is needed, and very expensive. Lot of money has to be spent, especially separation of uranium isotopes. You heard about that isotope? Uranium has got two isotopes. One is 235, another is 237, 238. So difficult to separate these isotopes. And because the availability is very less, it is something like 0.7%. And that is a very costly affair. Then transferring this fuel is another thing. And electricity that is produced, it's transferring from place to place. All these are very, very expensive. And more dangerous is about nuclear waste. So nuclear waste that is produced, disposition of that is very difficult, very tough job. Should be done in a hillock, very remote place where there should not be any human habitation. There should not be plants nearby, animals also, because all will get affected by the radiations. Just now I was telling about radiations. The unseen radiations, which is causing great havoc. As you might have heard, that happened in Japan. And that's why it is not advisable to have nuclear power plant, even though it is a very good substitute for the fossil fuels. Coming to second question, names of two energy sources that you would consider to be exhaustible. So, coal and petroleum, they are examples of exhaustible energy sources. They are also called forms of fossil fuels. How the coal is formed? Coal is formed within the bowels of the earth. Even petroleum also. The huge trees, due to wind or earthquake or etc., they will go down into the earth's crust. Due to very high temperature and pressure, that get converted into coal. And when it is going under the crevices of the rocks, they become liquid called petroleum. And they are exhaustible because the demand is very high and the production is very less. So it is mainly used for production of electricity. Other day we are discussing about that is called a thermal power plant. And where do you get it? In Karnataka? Karnataka? Yes, Raichur. In Shaktinagar, a place called Shaktinagar in Raichur district, we have thermal power plant where coal energy is converted into electric energy. And petroleum is used for transportation, as just now we discussed. All the buses, trucks, cars, bikes, scooters, all these require petrol, and some of them want diesels. So they are all forms of petroleum only. So demand is very high, supply is limited. That's why they are called exhaustible sources of energy. Okay. Now coming to today's topic, let us see some. So when you have these non-renewables, you must think of the renewable, is it not? And what you say, alternative source of energy. So depletion means getting exhausted. Fossil fuels get exhausted. So we have to think of other sources which does not get exhausted. They are called as renewable source of energy. For example, water, we call it as hydroelectricity. And wind is nothing but fast moving air, is called as wind. And sunlight, we call it as solar energy. And geothermal, they are the energy due to the heat that is present within the bowels of the earth. As you know, the shape of the earth is geoid shape, and what we have now is the uppermost layer of the earth. Now if you make if you drill in the surface of the earth, you have, this is called earth crust. Within the earth crust you have, go to about 30 to 40 kilometers down, you will have mantle. Within that there will be core, inner core and outer core, and like that. So there will be a very huge temperature within the earth's crust, but very difficult to take it out. It's a challenge. Come on, let us see how many of you will become scientists and discover some method. Actually, if it is taken out, it is sufficient. All the problems of the world today definitely is solved by that. But how to take it out? Because it is a burning pot. Temperature is very high, of the order of 3000 to 6000 degree. And then you have sea waves. Even though there are a lot of waves in the sea, to harness it and to get the electricity from it is a really challenge, because the waves will be in continuous motion, and biomass obtained by the cow dung and all waste, vegetable waste, animal waste and so on, it also some of the possible sources of energy. They can be renewed, and so there are other reasons to switching over to such sources. What are the other reasons? To reduce pollutants, because when you think of the nuclear energy, there will be a lot of pollutants. If you think of fossil fuels, there will be what is called as greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide and so on. Is it not? There will be pollution. So to reduce pollution, for example, biomass, it can be a good solution for that. The greenhouse gases and toxins, means poisons, that are the byproducts of fossil fuels. So we are thinking of these for a substitute for all the problems caused by fossil fuels, and also to preserve a delicate ecological balance of the earth. Ecological balance means what? the balance that we see in the earth, for the life of plants, birds, animals, human beings, etc., etc., to preserve it. Because when you take this case of coal, petroleum, etc., it would make a large, borewells, and it would go deeper and deeper. So it causes lot of issues, and also they are inexhaustible. Renewable sources are inexhaustible. If you take solar energy, it was there from billions of years. It will be there in future also. Whereas the fossil fuels and all are limited. The sources are limited. So let us see one by one. The first one is sun. And energy is called as solar energy. The energy got from sun is called as solar energy. And what is the sun? Chandrama manaso jata chakshos suryo ajayataha, says our Vedas. Our eyes are compared to the sunlight. Like sun, they are shining. And our mind is compared to moon. And we do what is called as Surya Namaskara every day. Because sun is the source of all inspiration for plants, birds, animals, all the living organisms. It is the ultimate source. Without sun, and what does sun give us? It gives us heat and light from billions of years. And it will continue to do so in future also. And you may think, even though the sun's energy is coming in the form of heat and light from so many years, how it is continuously burning with the same spirit? It is because of the reaction called thermonuclear fusion reaction. Hydrogen becoming helium. And that is how the energy is being given out from millions of years. Sun is the ultimate source of energy. How it helps for plants? For the production of food. What is it called? Photosynthesis. For photosynthesis, sun's solar energy is very important. And the plants to grow also, solar energy is required. Solar energy is commonly used for heating, cooking, production of electricity also, by the help of what is called as solar cells. Nowadays, the government is insisting for every house to have a solar panel, because the solar panels, they will be, the sun's energy is converted into heat energy, which heats up the water, which the bulbs, glow up the bulbs, and so on. Even vehicles also nowadays, they experimented it for cars also. The solar energy is being used up, and all of you know how the solar cells are made use of in mobiles also, and in many places. And the use of sun is unlimited, you can say. Desalination of sea water. Even sea water, which contains a lot of salt, salt is separated by the help of sunlight. If you go to Ankola, or many parts of Bhatkala and many places of North Canada, we find a lot of fields filled with the sea water. And the sea water, the salt is separated by the help of sunlight. And use of solar energy causes no environmental pollution. There is no pollution. Everything is free, free, free. Whereas other sources of energy, everything is costly, costly, costly. If you take nuclear energy, it requires about crores of rupees. Hydroelectricity, again crores of rupees. Solar energy, everything free. There is no bill collector, no tax to be paid. All that God gives us is free. Say wind energy, solar energy, even the water, drinking water, the beautiful nature, everything is free. But we should be grateful for that. And many times we forget the gift of nature, especially the gift of sun. It is freely available. The word free is a very rare commodity now. If you go to hospital, for any patient, you have to spend so much. If you go to a shop, you have to pay there. If you want to get education, you have to pay. Everywhere payment, payment, payment. But solar energy, there is no payment. On a large scale, solar energy can be used in some cars also, power plants also, and spaceship also. These rockets, rockets when they go up to space, the energy go on decreasing. So how do they get energy? Especially satellites. What are satellites? Satellites are the heavenly bodies going around the planets. And what is the natural satellite of Earth? Moon. And there are so many man-made satellites like INSAT series, Aryabhata, Bhaskara, and so on, Rohini, etc., etc. They are called satellites. How do the satellites get energy? By the help of solar panels. Anyway, in brief, you can say solar energy is one of the most important source of energy, and there are so many slokas about sun, and some of you may be doing Surya Namaskara. There are 12 names of sun. Om Sri Sai Adityaya Namaha. Om Sri Sai Bhaskaraya Namaha. Om Sri Sai Hiranyagarbhaya Namaha. All these are names of sun. Even there is one Aditya Sloka, which was chanted by Lord Rama before building the bridge for Sri Lanka. He did, this puja for the Lord Sun to bless him. And there is it is a continuous things, and if you go on listing out, there are so many advantages. So this is what I was telling about solar panels. And this provides, what does it do? It converts the solar energy, sun's energy, namely heat energy, into electrical energy and other purposes. So there are a very good number of advantages of the solar energy. This is what you refer it as solar water heater. Here there will be, you might have seen, there will be a black rubber. On that there will be copper pipes. Why copper? Because it is a very good conductor of heat. So it is kept inclined Why inclined? So that sun's rays fall both morning and evening on that, and they fall inclined and they get reflected, and the cold water is circulated on the pipes of copper pipes, and it is covered with the glass sheets. Why glass sheets? Because it is a transparent material. So the sun's rays enter this glass sheet and they heat the water present in the copper pipes, and they get heated up. So the cold water become hot water. They will be supplied to kitchen or bathrooms or wherever needed. Okay, it's pollution free. And this is what is called as solar cookers. Of course, the practicability is not so good, but in the sunny days where the solar energy is very good, we can use this solar cooker. It is a black wooden box painted black inside. It contains or it is covered by a glass sheet, and this is the containers in which food is kept, painted black in nature. One of them you can keep rice soaked in water, another one you can keep vegetables with water. Everything should be filled with water so that the water gets heated up, and that water, when it is heated, becomes steam, and hence the rice is cooked there. And of course there is so many limitations in that, because only when the sunlight is good we can get the cooking done. The sunlight is not there, it won't work. Anyway, it is one of the pollution free, very cheap and best method of cooking also. So like that you will have now let us see what is the limitations of using solar energy. Solar power plants cannot produce energy when the sun is not shining. So on cloudy days, night times you won't get the energy. So what they have to do then? Then they have to think of solar cells or solar battery. So establishment of solar power stations can be expensive. In the starting stage, it will be expensive because they require solar cells made up of substances like iridium, and they may be little costly. Solar panels need to be regularly maintained and cleaned for continuous generating electricity. Maintenance, you have to make it. And now coming to another source of energy, namely wind energy. It is the oldest and cleanest form of energy. What is wind? The blow of air. When the air is moving from one place to another, how does it move? From a higher pressure to a lower pressure. So when it is moved from one place to another, we call it as wind. It is also free of cost. So such energy sources were being used earlier in the to grind substances and to pump water, etc. For example, you have a pirki. What is pirki? It is a wind vane. You might have seen during the car festivals, there will be a pirki. It is just if you have it and run, it rotates and it will be colored beautifully. So when the air is blown on the pirki, it starts rotating. What does it show? It shows that the wind energy gives energy. The wind, when it blows from one place to another, it gives energy. How do you know? The rotation of the pirki will show it. So let us see some advantages of wind energy. It is free of cost, and reliable. Means it will be there always. It is clean and produces no environmental pollution. What is environmental pollution? There is no issue of toxic gases, greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, etc., etc. Not there. So, free from pollution. Farming and grazing can still take place on land occupied by wind turbines, which can help in the production of biofuels. So, farming can be done in that area. Grazing, the animals can be kept free for grazing purpose, and there is no danger about that. Wind farms can be built offshore. What do you mean by wind farms? Wind farms is nothing but windmills. Now, more number of windmills at a place can be built, and that will produce a lot of electricity. Can produce electricity. So, the wind energy means here refers to, it attracts tourists also. Tourists also be interested to look at it. Okay. For example, this is the windmill. This is what I was saying about wind pirki. Here there is a blade. These are all called blades. When the wind blows, it rotates. In the olden days, they used to draw water from the bowels of the earth, and they used to use it for grinding purpose, flour mills. And this shows that wind, when it blows from one place to another, energy is produced. And the latest form is production of electricity. This is what is called as a windmill. Okay. And if you go to Chitradurga, you can find some windmills on the hillocks there. And Denmark is said to be the most windy country. It produces about 30% of the electrical consumption is met by the windmills, because the wind is moves with a very high speed there, and it produces thousands of megawatts of energy. It's a very good solution for the energy crisis. And these are called blades of the windmill. When the blades rotate, they will be kept perpendicular, and when the blades rotate, the kinetic energy of the rotation is converted into electric energy. And this was there from long, the history itself will tell you about that windmills, because that was one of the best devices of producing electricity. It consists of a structure similar to a large electric fan. As the fans have blades, this also will have blades created at some height on a rigid support. So it cost about 1 crore. It is said the cost of a windmill will be about 1 crore. To generate electricity, a rotating motion of the windmill is used to turn the turbine of the electric generator. What do you mean generator? Generator is a device which converts mechanical energy into electric energy. And how it rotates? Because of the mechanical energy produced by the rotation of the blades. It rotates the turbines. The turbines in turn produces electricity, and in a device called generator. Now, one windmill may give some small quantity of electricity. It is not sufficient for commercial purpose. So, what they do for commercial scale, a number of windmills are erected in a large area, which is called as wind energy farms. If you go to Kanyakumari, it is one of the highest, having highest wind energy farms, because it produces lot of electric energy from the windmills. The largest wind energy farm has been established near Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu. It produces about 380 megawatts. What is 1 megawatt? MW means megawatt. Is equal to 10 to the power of 3 kilowatts. What is 1 kilowatt? 1 kilowatt is equal to 10 to the power of 3 watts. What do you mean watt? So this becomes 10 to the power of 6 watts. What do you mean watt? Watt is nothing but the power. Rate of work done is called power. W by T. W is work, T is time. Rate of work done means if a device works for 1 joule per second, then the power is called as 1 watt. 1 watt means a device working for 1 joule per second, and that is called 1 watt. So 1000 watts is equal to 1 kilowatt. 1000 kilowatt is equal to 1 megawatt, also equal to 10 to the power of 6 watts. So Kanyakumari, we have got farms which is about 380 megawatts of electricity is produced, and that is called as wind energy farms, because one windmill cannot produce a lot of energy. So they will have what is called as wind energy farms, which covers lot of windmills. Okay. The windmill the wind speed is vital in the production of electricity, and the optimum speed is approximately 25 km per hour. That should be there. That's why it is not installed in all the places. Only in places where the wind is very high. Even in Tirupati also you can see. On the hillocks, you find this. And a very nice thing to see. But there will be a lot of sound also. And the blade should rotate at a speed of at least 25 km per hour. And this causes the blades to rotate. If there is not so much speed, the blades won't rotate. Only if the blades rotate, we get that can be used for turning of the turbines, which is helpful for production of electricity. Okay, so this is about windmills, and you should know some limitations also. And the first and foremost limitation is that wind power is not available at all the time at all the places. Only when the wind blows, the wind energy can be got. And also only in the places where the velocity of the wind is more than 25 km per hour. Okay, which is not possible at all places. Persistent wind and consistent wind speeds are needed for continuous power generation. Speed should be there and wind should be there. Then only you can produce electricity. The wind farms are noisy and generates a lot of opposition. The people nearby will complain because of the noise. We can't avoid it, because when the blades rotate, naturally there will be so much of noise. And large wind farms can have a negative effect on the scenery. The beauty of the place will be affected, and so many trees will be cut. just for erecting the windmills, and that is also not supportive. There are hazards for the wildlife, especially birds. Birds, when they are moving in the wind, they will be attacked by the blades, rotating blades. When the rotating blades are hit by the birds, usually they will be killed or they will be losing the wings. These are the hazards. Of course, the birds will not be knowing that there is a windmill, but during the process, they will be attacked by these blades, rotating blades. So these are some of the limitations. And there are third type of form of energy, which is renewable, is called as hydroelectric energy. What is hydroelectric energy? Water stored in huge dams. It's also an important source of energy, and that is potential energy. When this water is made to flow, then it is called as kinetic energy. When it produces electricity, it is called electric energy. So there is a transfer of energy. So how this energy is produced? Hydroelectricity is produced by the natural flow of or fall of water. Have you heard about Bharat Ratna Dr. Vishweshwaraya? Which is his birthplace? Yes, Mudenalli is his birthplace. Once he went to Jog Falls. Where is Jog Falls? It is near Sagara, in Shimoga district. And there he saw the waterfalls, which you and I, if you go there, we see the waterfalls are so nice. But he was not happy. It is one of the tallest waterfalls in India, more than 900 feet. And they are beautiful. If you, especially in the rainy season, if you look at it, a lot of joy. We call it as Raja, Roarer, Rocket, Rani. There are the 4 names given to them, because by seeing the nature of the falls. But Vishweshwaraya was not happy. His remark was, what a colossal waste of energy, he said. Means energy is wasted, unnecessary is falling down. What is the river there? River is Sharavati. And he immediately thought of building a dam. If you go to Linganamakki, nearby to the Jog Falls, we find the Sharavati river, is controlled by a dam there. Because of Vishweshwaraya's master plan in those days, we can get electricity all over Karnataka now. Must be grateful to that great master, great engineer. Okay. So it may be by a flow of water, or it may be by a fall of water. What you call it as waterfalls. And by channeling this water that is flowing downhill, the force of the water can be used to turn turbines via generators which can produce electricity. So the water that is falling down, it is made to rotate the wheels and what you call it turbines. The turbines will rotate generators, which turns mechanical energy is converted into electric energy. And that is what you call it as, there are 2 types of generators, step up generator and step down generator. So step up means what? Energy is increased. If you go to Linganamakki, we find that huge generators there. which can produce electricity, and this hydroelectricity come from the damming of the rivers, utilizing the potential energy stored in water. So water which is stored in dams, and also you must know the dams will have the bottom, broad bottoms. Why? Because pressure will be more down. That's why it will have a broad based. Which is the famous dam in Karnataka. We have Karnataka, we have KRS, Krishnaraja Sagara, one of the beautiful spots. Not only of India, even in Asia also, one of the beautiful spots. It's called Brindavan Gardens. And of course, there is no production of electricity there. And first hydroelectricity project is come on, anybody? It is in Shivana Samudram, also called as Shimsa project. That is for Kaveri river in the district called Mandya. First project in Asia. Shimsha. Shimsha means Shivana Samudram, where a dam was constructed for the flowing water, namely Kaveri river. So, for production of electricity, dam is to be constructed. Even for our mind also, there is a dam called as discipline. Our mind will give lot of thoughts from morning till night. And even though they are sitting there, you will be having a lot of thoughts. Is it not? So these thoughts should be controlled. Baba says 3 Ds: discipline, duty, devotion. So discipline means controlling of thoughts. Of course, mind is very fickle. That's what Arjuna says to Krishna. Chanchalam hi manik Krishna. But these thoughts, if they are controlled by discipline, they can be channelized. Just as the river water also, not only for production of electricity, is a very good, if dams are put to the rivers, it gives a very good solution for agriculture purpose. And so this is one of the model of this hydroelectric project. Here you have water in dams. This is a dam, and and dam, the stored water is called potential energy, and this potential energy converted into kinetic energy, made to flow down to a pipeline. There is a control valve here, and this flowing water rotates this turbine, what is called as water turbine. This turbine is connected to a generator which rotates the shaft, and this generator produces electricity. It is called as step-up transformer, and high voltage of electricity is produced, which is supplied to cities, and all the unwanted water will go down. So this is a figure showing the working of the hydroelectricity, and this water can be used for agriculture purpose and any other purposes also. So when the water stored behind the dam is released, its potential energy, then converted to kinetic energy, is transferred onto the turbine blades. It is used to produce electricity. The power output of the hydroelectric source is determined by the difference in height between the source and the outflow. You might have seen the dams are constructed at a great height. That is called as head of the dams. The height difference between the source of water and outflow means dam, water and the dam. That is called a head. So greater is the head, larger is the output. That's why dams are constructed to a great heights, right? I think all of you have seen dams. You can go to Alamatti Dam. So beautiful it is. Or KRS dams. Or this Linganamaki Dam. Or you can see this Shimsa, Shivana Samudram, what you call. Anyway, of course, all dams will not produce electricity, some of them. For this purpose, very big dams are made on the rivers and other water flows out of it. So this is something about hydroelectricity, where electricity is produced from stored water. The stored water is made to flow and made to rotate the turbines and electricity is produced. Okay. And let us see some home assignment. Name any one alternative source of energy which you would like to use in your home. Justify your answer. List any 5 traditional uses of solar energy. Okay, come prepare. Thank you.